Hello, today I'm going to show you how to create a steel tower for an elevated water tank, and we will be moving in step by step, of which step 1 we are going to create a steel tower. Then step 2 we'll be creating a platform and the railings for our tank on top right there. Now step 3 will be cage ladder creation. Then the final step will be creating the drawings for the whole model. Welcome to this tutorial. I'm Morris Dimba, and we'll get started right away here. Now if you take a look on the screen, we've created the grid for our model, and I'll assume creating the grid now should be a very simple thing to do, and I've already placed my column. I'm using SHS 150 by 150. I'll just double click on it so that you can see the properties of this column. This is where it is. This is the profile, and if you intend to create to change this, you just click on this radio button here, and this will take you straight to steel catalog, where you'll be able to pick on the best choice for your structure or the best choice for your tower. And let me just click this so that you see where it takes us. I'll click on that, and this will load this, and this will load this steel catalog right here. And from here you'll be able to pick on the appropriate steel size, and from here, and this one I'll minimize this so that you can be able to see the various sizes here. We have 700, we have 600, whichever size that suits you as a tower, you just pick from here. Now once you're done, just go ahead and click apply and click OK, and that one will reflect here, and do the same thing here by clicking modify, and this will reflect immediately on your model or on your grid. I'll close this for now, and now I want to populate this column to the places or to the points that I intend to place my columns. Now I'll pick on this column, right click and come to copy, and I want to hold it from this spot. I'll copy it from this spot and populate it that way. Now I want to populate these three once again to the other end. I'll right click after selecting everything. I'll pick on copy and pick it from this spot, copy it here, and I want to place another one there and place some there, right there. I'll click on empty screen just to remove or to deselect what I've selected, because I'm moving to the next step. Now from here I want to brace these columns. I'll go straight to applications and component here. I'll click on this applications and component right here, right there, because I want to access my bracings. Now to get the bracing macro, I'll come to bracings. I'll just type bracings right here, and before even you finish the name of the macro, you'll be prompted with the variety of macro, and just click inside and scroll down, and I'll be able to pick on the appropriate macro. I want to use this tensioner, brace, and compression bar right here, numerically known as number 13. If you're familiar with these numerical names of macro, just type 13 here and this will come up. Now we want to use this one, and inside this I've already made my settings for the bracings, so I'll just double click on it just to take you through on my settings, or you can see the settings and use the same settings if you intend to use the same settings to create your own. I just double click and you'll be able to see everything that I set for this particular tower creation. Now inside here, once you've double clicked this window of Tekla structure, tensioner, brace and compression bar will come up. Then from here you'll be able to see my settings. The height of my column was 6 meters, so on top of this instead of fitting 6 here on this macro, I gave it an offset of 200 millimeter off the connection on top here, because I will be populating these columns going upward to a height of 18 meters, so I didn't want this connection to clash with this connection top on top here. Now from 0 level to this level here is 2.9. half of this you just feed there, and on parts you pick on the sizes of bracings you intend to use, and on wind bracing 1, 3, 4, that way by clicking on this radio button, and this will take you to a steel catalog. and you'll be able to click on the pick on the appropriate. Now on the compression bar, these are my settings. You can pick if they suit your requirements. On the joints, enable joint or it's optional, because my connection will be created manually after exploding all the bracings. Now in my case, I've selected no. I don't want to create any connection. I want just connection to be done manually by me, not automatically by the Tekla structure, because I want to customize it to my preference. Now joint direction, just leave them at auto. Now let me just go back to parts. Under parts and under bracings, I picked on this option because I want to place a central plate here to connect these 4 bracings. I picked that. Then I'll go to picture here. On direction of bracings, we have the direction right there. Just click on this drop down arrow and you'll be able to pick. The direction is dependent on your reference. My reference is 0 here, and in case your reference start from the very utmost height of your column, you can pick on that. Then I picked on these. That's all about that explanation on how these settings work. Now these settings are made for this particular tower. Now I'll come to this drop down arrow and click on this. Then I'll come to brace, just to load the settings that I used, which are the same. I just click load, and everything, all the settings will be picked as a default. Then I'll go straight and click modify, and I click apply and give it a node right here by clicking OK. Now I'll bring this close, because now I want to start bracing my columns. I want to brace this and this and this. Now I'll just click on the individual columns right here, and you'll be able to see the bracings being created. And also I want to create a bracing between those 2 columns, and same to these 2 columns. Now I'll go all around by clicking on the individual columns to create the bracings. Click on that and this and that, and also a bracing between that and that. Now I want to see it clearly while creating the bracings right here. I want to create another bracing from this and this, and another one from this column and this column. There we are. I'm done with the bracings. Now what is remaining is creating, whatever is remaining now is connecting the bracings to the main columns here. Now to turn this round, let me just, I will not close this because I'm just going back here right in just a minute. Now to turn this round, just press Ctrl and hold your middle button and move your mouse. You'll be able to turn this round and see all the sides of your isometric or your 3D model. Now I want to connect these, and as I told you, I want to create this connection with my personal settings. Now I'll click on every bracings and explode. Let me just click and see if I can explode everything. One go. Click that, click this, click that, click on that, click on this. Let me right click and come to, let me just right click and come to explode component. This will explode everything right there. Now I'll be able to now connect this individually. I'll turn this round. Now I'll come back here, and I want to connect these bracings to the columns. What I'll do, I just come to this applications and component here, and I'll type this macro 11. If you are familiar with the macro names, this macro is called bolted gusset. Now I'll click on it, then come all the way and pick on the part I want to connect. I want to connect this column to these 2 braces. I'll write the moment you click on this, then press the middle button to effect the plate, to effect the connection between the column and the bracings. Let me connect this and this, and I'll press my middle button, and that will be created. I'll go all the way to the bottom end here. I want to connect this to this, and press my middle button on the mouse, and I'll go all the way and do everything that way. I want to connect this and that, and I want to do the same thing here. Make sure you pick on the right members to connect. Pick on that, pick on that, and pick on that, and press the middle button on the mouse, and the connection will be created. I want to do all that to every column and bracings. Press the middle button on the mouse, and just click on this, and press the middle button on the mouse, and do the same thing here. Let me just do this faster, and press my middle button on the mouse, and do the same thing here. Perfect. Now we are connecting our bracings to our columns. By picking on the column, you can see here, pick on the main part. Our main part is a column here. Then the secondary part will be the bracing now. Then the moment you click on the primary part, you press the middle button on the mouse, and the connection will be created. Let me just press and turn. Let me just turn this round. I'll click on this and that. I'll press the middle button on the mouse. Turn that. And I'll come this side, and I want to connect this to that. I want to connect this to this. Connect this to that. And connect this one to this one. Perfect. I'll turn this round. Turn this round, click on this and this, this and that. Now I'll right click and redraw, just remove all those symbols of active connections. Now I'll click on this bolted once again on that macro, and I want to create connection between that and that. I'll press my middle button, and that will be created. Click that and that, and we'll create that connection right there. We'll do the same thing at this end. Click on that, and that will be created. We'll do the same thing here. We want to create this connection perfectly well. Pick on this and that, and connect. Now pick on the main part, then we go to the secondary parts, maximum at 10. You can connect to up to 10 members. Now if the main part is this one, the secondary part is that, then that's the third one, and this is the fourth one. Maximum is 10. You can connect up to 10. You can connect up to 10 bracings to a column. So the moment you've picked, to just press your middle button on the mouse, and the connection will be created. Let me just turn that around. You can be able to see that. Now my macro is still active. I'll just continue creating the connections right here. I'll click that and press my middle button on the mouse, and I'll be creating my connections comfortably. I'll do the same thing here. Click on that and that, this and that. I'll do the same thing here, this and that, this and this. I want to be very accurate without picking on the wrong member. Right click and exit from that. I'll come back and pick on the individual that I want to connect together. I want to do a similar thing here. Perfect. And I'll do same thing here, right here and here, and connect that. I want to connect this one and this one also, and I want to connect this, that, and this. Perfect. I'll turn that round by pressing Control, and I'll come at the bottom end here and connect these 3 braces. Once you've picked on the main, then pick on the parts that you want to brace to the column, and press the middle button on the mouse, and the connection will be created. I want to create connection between these braces. Let me create another one here, and press my middle button on the mouse, and the connection will be created automatically right away. Let me do the same. Done and neatly done. Now we want to create central, want to place these central plates to connect all these 4 braces. Now I'll come right here and just type central, and the same macro will come here, this central gusset plate. I'll pick on it, then I'll click on this member, and prior to doing that, I'll just double click on it to bring that window for the brace gusset plates. Now I had already made my settings here, already named central gusset. Now I'll come to the list here and pick on my settings here, and these are my settings. You can create your own, and if you intend to use the same settings, it will be okay. Now I'll go ahead and click load them. Then I'll come to just check on the dimensions that I've used for my central bracings, or for my central plate for connecting all these braces. I'll come to gusset. You'll be able to see the thickness here. I prefer to be 12 millimeter will be okay, and general that and that, these are the settings that I've used. Now I'll just go ahead and click modify, apply and accept. Now the moment you've done that, it picks that connection as a default. So the next connection you create will be this one. It will be picked as the default connection, unless you deactivate or go to another macro connection. Now I'll pick on the individual braces that I intend to connect, and that is how it will be created. And I can turn this round so that you can see this clearly. That has been created. Now I'll go to the next. I want to connect this, that, and this, and I'll press my middle button on the mouse, and do the same thing here, that, this, and that, and the connection will be created right away. And I'll do the same thing here, here, and here, and that one has been created. Let's just do this to all our braces. You just have to be patient so that you come with something so perfect and something easy to follow if someone intend to learn from it. Now we want to create connection right here and here and here. Press Control, press middle button, and the connection will be created. And we want to create another one here, and we'll do that, and that one will be created. Do a similar thing here and press your middle button. The moment you've clicked on the parts to be created with the central gusset plate, the connection will be created. You want to connect these 4 braces at the middle right there. We'll do a similar thing here, but now we'll turn this around because we are not seeing everything clearly. Turn this round like that, and I want now to connect this one and this one. I'll press my middle button on the mouse, and that has been created. Now we'll be targeting other parts or other section of our model. Then I want to connect these 4 again, and I'll press my middle button on the mouse. And I think the process is very simple to follow. If you find anything hard to understand, just put that comment right down there, and I'll be able to respond back to you. Let me just do that, and the connection has been created right away. Well braced, well connected. You can see our connection right here. This is our connection. There's a great uniformity here. This is how it now looks. So if my settings matches your settings, or you intend to use my settings, just use, because I've taken you through on the settings. So this makes works easier. You can assign anyone else to do only the bracings of the size, another one doing the cutting the plates for of this size, another one of this size. It makes works so much easy. Now let me just switch back to isometric view so that we continue with working on our tower. Now I want to populate these up to a height of 18 meters high. Now I'll highlight everything right here, excluding the grid. So I'll just select everything by left click and dragging my mouse to cover everything that I intend to populate up to the height of 18 meters. Now I'll press Ctrl to deselect the grid because we don't intend to populate the grid all the way to that height. Is not appropriate and is not very much unprofessional. Now I'll right click and now I'll turn the rotate this to a position that we'll be able to see everything clearly. Now after selecting everything, I'll right click and come to spatial copy and pick linear. Now under linear, before populating this or before copying this to a height of 18 meters, please check the orientation of your XY axis. Now this window of copy linear has come up because I've invoked that copy command. Now we have the three axes here. We have Y, we have X, Y, Z. Now we want to populate this to a height of we want to populate this going up, but the Z axis is pointing up. Now we'll work with the Z axis. Now taking into account that the height from zero level to this end is 6 meters. Now we'll feed 6 meters right here, 6 meters right here, and the number of copies we intend to copy. Now we just need 3 of these, just 3 of these to make it 18 meters. Just type feed 3 right there and feed the height of the column. Now I'll go straight and click copy and wait for the result right away. There we are. It has been created, or all of this has been populated to that height of 18 meters. I'll right click and click OK right here because it has done actually what I intended to create. Now this what has been created, and I'll press Ctrl and hold, and while pressing my middle button on the mouse, and you'll be able to see whatever has been created. If you want to see the elevation part of this, we'll change the view and come to see and click on that, and this is what you'll be able to see. We want to remove all these symbols, so indicating that connection is active. I just right click and come to redraw, and everything will disappear. I'll just click on one of them and right click and come to redraw, and everything will disappear right away. Now this is the full height. This is the full height, but it has gone way beyond our frame or our boundary. Now I'll just click on this cube, right click and come to fit work area to entire model. I'll click that and everything will be covered, and it will go all the way to this end. Now this is how it will look, and this is the allowance that I was talking about. I didn't want this connection to come close to this edge because we'll be creating a connection here. So I'll take you through that connection creation, and I'll switch back to my isometric view right here and click on that 3D view, and I'll turn this around like that. Now the next step, we want to create the connection here. Now what the connection we are going to use, or we want to manipulate, we want to use the base plate. We want to manipulate that to fit our settings. Now I'll come to applications and component here, and I'll just type base plate. I want to use the base plate settings to create this connection. Let me just press base plate, or just base is enough, and scroll down. Then I'll come straight to stiffened base plate right here. I'll pick on that. I'll double click on that so that we can access that window for that type of connection. We'll give it time to load, or we'll just double click on it once again. And since this window is so big, we cannot access other parts of this. That's why we have this Tekla structure screen controller to assist us in maneuvering to every part of these oversized windows or window. Now I'll click on the inside this window, then I'll click on this arrow, and this will take it down. And I want to pick on my settings right here. I'll used flange, and I'll go straight and load the settings that I used. Then I'll be taking you step by step on the settings that I used, and if you intend to use them, well and good. Parts, the general bolts, stiffeners. The key part is the stiffeners and the bolt settings here. I left it at default because the bolting I'll create my own after what I wanted, just flange connection between end to end of the column. Stiffeners, the settings of my stiffeners, I don't need anchor rods there, so there's no need of activating that anchor rod. Now I'll go straight away and effect that, put that into the right place. Now let me just move up and click right there, modify, apply, and accept my settings. Now I'll come back here and I want to connect this column to this column. I'll click on that column I want to connect, then I'll snap in the I'll just snap in the middle part, and that is the connection I wanted to create. And I'll turn that round. Turn it around by pressing Control. Let me just get off that first and right click and come to redraw right there. I'll press Control and turn that round. This is the connection that I want to use. Or if turning that round is a little bit tricky, just use the view and come to navigate and rotate with mouse. This is the connection I wanted to create. Now I'll come back again and click on this, and I'll snap right in the middle right there, and I'll create another one right there. Now this is the connection I wanted to be created for me. That's enough, and we'll do this to the rest of our columns. Now I'll just press Control and pick on this and this. I'll right click and come to copy, and I'll pick everything from this end. I want to copy that connection to this connection, to this end. Let me just zoom close to see whether it has been created. Yeah, it is there. It has been created, and I want to do a similar thing right here. Let me just come out and place another one right here. Perfect. I'll right click and come to interrupt and check whether what I've done has been done perfectly. It has been done perfectly, and that is how we wanted this to be done. I'll right click and come to redraw, and now we want to create the bolts, because we don't want the bolts created by the settings of the base plates. Now here we want to place our bolts, and before placing the bolts we want to explode all these parts. Then place our boltings, then assemble all this back to individual columns, or to individual column connection. Now we'll start with this one. Right click and click interrupt. Now I'll click on this, then I'll click on this also, because I want to explode all of them at a go, so that we speed up our work. We'll come all the way to this one also. Yeah, we are done with them. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to explode all of them. I'll right click and come to explode component right there. Then I right click and come to redraw, just refresh and remove everything right there. Now I'll come to bolts here. I'll close this for now because we've used everything there we wanted. Now I'll come to steel here, then I'll come to bolts. I want to bolt this plate to this plate, this flange to this flange. Now what I'm going to do, I want to click on this plate and click on this plate, then I'll press my space bar right here, and I'll click on this edge and on that edge right there. I've created my bolt, but it is on the wrong is not in the right position, and the size of the bolt is way too big. Now the moment you double click on this bolt, this window of bolt will come up, and from here you'll be able to pick on the bolt, on the bolt size, and whatever you want to be included on the bolt, whether washer, and the size of the bolt can be changed. We want that to be 16 millimeter, M16. That's okay, and we want to change the position of this. And to do that, I'll just scroll down and I'll come to XYZ. Bolt distance at axis X. I need 3 bolts here at a distance of 70 millimeter. I'll click that so that you can see how this is being populated, and I'll scroll down also. I will come to position. I want to shift these positions. I can feed 20 right here and see how this position itself. Also I'll scroll down, I'll come to that position, offset from. I want to offset this from that end by -20. I'll click that. That is not the position I intend to populate that to. I'll change that to 20, and that will be done like that. I'll close this for now and click on that, and I'll do a similar thing on the other end. We can do that by copying, but I want to do this step by step so that you can understand, or if you're not familiar with this, with the bolt creation, you can learn from that step. Now we've connected this top column and the bottom column. Now I'll turn this round once again. Let me just turn this round once again, and I'll come back to bolts here. I'll click on this plate and click on this plate by pressing Control. Then after doing that, I'll press my space bar on the keyboard and snap on this end and snap on that end. Make sure you snap on a straight line or on a straight point. But the moment I've done that, you've seen my bolts are way off the target plates. Now I'll double click on the bolts, then to feed the offset dimension to the right position. Now from the offset position, we'll feed here a negative. We prefix that 20 millimeter with a negative sign and click modify, and that is still not taking it to the right position. Now we'll scroll down. We'll scroll up and come to position, and we'll prefix this with a negative, or prefix that with a negative sign, and that will take it inside our plate right there. And we'll do the same thing here, but in this case now we'll just pick on the bolts like that, and we'll right click and come to copy right here, and we'll copy this to the rest of our plates. Now we'll go straight to this end and snap right here, and the bolt has been created right there, and we'll snap right here once again and to bolt up our connection. Then I will turn this round. We'll come right there and navigate, and we'll rotate with mouse, and that will be rotated perfectly. Now we want to connect this. We want this to be part of the column. Now we'll pick on this plate, press Control and pick on these plates, on these gusset plates, and we'll turn this round and pick the other end of gusset plate, and we'll right click and come to add to assembly. We will add it to this column right there, so that it becomes part of that, so that when you press Alt and click on this, you'll be able to see this is one unit, this is one connection, this part of this column connection, and we'll do the same thing at the bottom end here. Now what we'll do, we'll pick on individual gusset plates here, pick on that, pick on this bottom end plate right here, and pick on this, and press Control and turn this round like that, and pick on the other end. I've left, or I've not pressed my Control button. Now I'll pick on that, and I right click, and add this to this column assembly. Perfect. I'll click yes. Now if I press Alt and click on this bottom end, you'll be able to see that this flange has been connected to the bottom end of this column. So if you create assembly drawing, it will be created together with this flange connection. Perfect. There we are. Now what we are going to do, we are going to copy all these connections to the rest, or we want to populate this to the rest of our joints going up. Let me just pick on individual so that we populate this up. Let me just turn this round and turn this and select on this, pick on that, and pick on this. I want to select everything so that when we copy all these, there's some sort of uniformity, and that will take a bit of our time. So what I'll do, I'll just straight to applications and component here and pick on these. Since the settings has been made, so I'll just pick on them. Now I'll pick on that, then snap on the middle right there, click on this and snap on the appropriate position. Let me just turn this round comfortably by going to that position. I'll right click and exit right there. I'll come back and pick on this, and I want to snap right there. I've created that connection. I'll do a similar thing here, and create that connection. Do a similar thing here and create that connection right there, and there's no clash. They're not clashing at all. They're not clashing at all. Perfect. That and that. We want to snap in the middle right there, and the connection has been created. This and that, this and that has been connected. This and that, we want to connect all of them step by step, so that we get to the point of creating the drawings when everybody have understood the steps that we followed. Connection will be created right there, and that will be created right there. This is a flange connection. Let me press Control and turn this round like that, and now I can be able to pick on this and pick on this and pick on this and pick on that. I'll be able to pick on this also and pick on that, and right click and come to copy, and I can copy it from this spot. From that spot, though there will be some clash. What I'll do, I'll just click on empty screen and go back and select on individual, and I'll pick on that once again and pick on that once again, pick on that and right click and come to copy right here, and I want to copy it from this spot to that and that. I'm using this as my reference points. I'll right click and exit. Perfect. Right click and redraw. Now I want to populate this up. Pick on that, and pick on this and this, and pick on this and that, and pick on this also and that one, and come all the way and pick this one also, and I'll also pick this one and that one, and I'm going to populate this connection up. There's a duplication here which is not right. There's a duplication here. We can delete that. The moment you hover your cursor and you see that presentation, that visibility, or you see that kind of highlight, means there's a double connection right there. So you just select on it and delete. Pick on that and select on that. Pick on that and that. Let's just move step by step so that everyone gets everything clear and can do a similar thing comfortably. Pick on this and that. We're going to select that and select this one also. We've left one part unselected. We haven't selected this part. Everything has been selected on that end, and also we want to select this end and populate all these to a height of 6 meters high, and that. Now I'll right click and come to special copy right here and click linear. Now I want 3 of them because I want 3 of them. I'll just go ahead, let me just try 2 will be okay, and I'll click OK. Copy the connections. Perfect. Our connections have been copied, and I'll click here and right click, and you can see the connections have been created here. Now what we'll do, the top one will just remain there because we'll be creating our platform right on the top here. Perfect. We'll delete any connection, right, any duplicate right there. We'll be able to let's create another one here. Right click, want to create another one here. Perfect. Right click and come to turn this round, and be able to see this clearly created and nothing clashes with the other. Let me just turn this round. You can see that. Now this is how it looks, and this is how it's done, and you can use the same settings and create your own. Now I'll come at the bottom end here, and I want to create a column base and the footings. I'll use the pad footings in this case. I'll come to concrete right here, and I'll come to pad footing right here and pick on the pad footing. Then I'll snap at the bottom end here. I'm not able to see it clearly. I'll press Ctrl 2 to change this to wireframe, and I'll be able to snap right at the bottom end here. That has been created, and I'll do same thing to the rest of the column bases, to the rest of the grid where I intend to place my column bases. Let me just turn this round. Let me just turn this round so that I snap on accurate positions. And snap right there, and I'll snap right at the end here. Let me just turn this round once again so that I snap on the accurate positions. Right click and exit, and I've detected something not done correctly. I'll snap right there. Now if I turn this round, you'll be able to see that there's no gusset plate created here, and that we can do immediately. It shouldn't be a very big thing to do. Just press Ctrl 4 to take us back to render view. Then we'll come back to this macro, a bolted gusset, and we want to connect this one to this one, and press our middle button on the mouse, and that has been created. We'll right click and redraw, just to remove any active command symbol, and that's it. Now we want to populate this to the rest of our column bases. Now prior to doing that, we want to create the column base first. We'll come to concrete right here, and we'll come to column, and we'll snap accurately on the right positions where we intend to place our column base. We want to place our column base right there. Once you've done that, we'll go back to our render view by pressing Ctrl 4. We double click on this because the height is way beyond our target. Now we'll close this now, or you can just leave it right there, or bring it to a point where it will not be clashing with our visibility. Now if you take a look on the column base, is completely out of our target. Is 7 meters high. We want this to come to 0 level right there, and moving down, penetrating deep into the ground by 0.45 meters. I'll just type that, and I'll come here and click modify, and I'll come, and this will be the size of a column base, 400 by 400, and I can change this to match this color. I can give it, we want a color that will be similar to a concrete. I just close that. Now I'll click on this, press Ctrl and click on all these, then I'll hover my cursor on top of this cube, and I'll be able to change the color of that to that color, similar to a precast or a concrete. Now I'll pick on this, right click and come to copy. I'll snap on top of that and snap on that edge and copy that right there, right click and exit. Then I want to populate these to the rest of the column bases. Pick on that, I'll right click and come to copy right here, and I'll be able to hold this from this point and snap right there and snap right here. Perfect. Everything has been created perfectly. Now what I'm going to create, I want to place my column bases. I'll come back here and just type the base plate, and I'm going to use the same stiffened base plate. I'll just scroll down and I'll pick on that stiffened base plate, and I'll pick on the column itself and hover my cursor to the position where I intend to place my column. Right there. Though we can change the size of our plate here, but for just a demonstration, this is just enough. I'll click on that and come here and do the same thing here and snap right there. And I'll do the same thing here, click on that and snap right down there. Now I'll right click and come to redraw and double click once again. We want to place a grout. I forgot to place the grouting. Now I'll close this because we are done with it. We close that, we'll close this, and I cannot access the top part of this window, and that's why we have the Tekla structure screen controller. Now I want to access the top part of this window. I'll click on this arrow, and I'll be able to access the top part of that arrow. Now I'll come to anchor rods here, and anchor rods I'll be able to have this. I need a grout of 15 millimeter thick, 15 millimeter, and I want that grout to be above the column base. And the anchor rods, I want this type. I can pick on the appropriate type. I can pick on this type, which is okay. I want my bolts to protrude up by, I just need 100 or 200 right there from that spot, or 500, it will be okay. Then I want this to be 100 also. That's okay. Base plate with what? With base plate with anchor rods. So I'll select on that, then I'll click this up arrow and click modify, and everything will be applied. Apply and accept. That one has been done, and we can right click, and there we are. We have our grout. Here, and you can show this by coming to view and navigate with mouse, and we can rotate that and see that has been created. We can do the same thing here. We can just delete everything here, and instead of wasting time doing activating the grouting, we'll just double click on this. Once you double click on this, and click modify, it will pick those settings as a default, and so whenever you invoke that macro, it will pick the recent settings as a default to a similar connection. Now let's come to applications and component here. We'll pick on that, then we'll click on that column, and we'll snap on the part we want to place our column base. Pick on that and snap right at the bottom end here. Right click and exit. Now we want to copy all these to the rest of our column bases. So select everything while pressing your control button on your keyboard. Right click and come to copy. Then we want to hold everything or copy everything with the reference to that point. We want to snap from that spot and snap right here. Perfect, and snap right here. Perfect. Right click and interrupt. I right click and come to redraw right there. Here we are, and we are going to close that, and this is what we're having now. Now we want to create our plinth beams right here. I'll press Control, or if that is quite tricky, just come to view and click on navigate and rotate with mouse, and we'll come right click and exit, and come to concrete right here, and pick on the beam, and pick on beam right here. Once you've picked on beam, just give it some time to load. This is dependent on your speed of your computer. Now we'll run all the way to this end, that end. Right click and exit. We want to set this beam to our preferred size. Just double click on it, and we'll access the dimensions here, and we'll feed 300 right there, and click this to see how it's positioning itself. And we want to change this color to a color similar to the rest of the concrete parts. Close that. And I'll come here also. I'll come here and create a beam also. Click on that and I'll snap. Let me just press Control and turn this. Let me just come there and come here and turn this round like that. Right click and come to interrupt, and I'll snap right here just to create a plinth beam here. I'll place a plinth beam right here. Perfect. Now click on that. I'll click on this, right click and click special move. I want to move it down slightly with 50 millimeter. Going down, I'll feed it this, feed a prefix sign there and take it down 50 millimeter. Now I want to populate this by clicking on that. Pick on that spot. I'll hold it from that spot and take it here and come all the way to that end. And do a similar thing here. Pick on that, right click and come to special copy, or just pick on copy, then come to that spot and I want to copy it. Copy one beam there, one plinth beam right here. Perfect. Now if I take a top view, if I come to top view by pressing Ctrl P, this is what I'll be able to see from top. This is what I'll be able to see from top. This is our top view of our elevated water tank tower. Now to get back where we were, just press Ctrl P, and let me just bring this close so that you can see whatever has been done. Now we can continue connecting this, because there are some parts that have not been connected. And what we did, we activated that. The grouting, and the grouting we don't need here. And this is how it is done. Let me just change this view. Let me come to view and come to view list, and I can take you to the elevation view here. Right click, I will right click and come to redraw, and this is what we're having. This is what we can see. This is what we can see here. You can see how this is well braced. You can see that perfectly well done. So if you intend to try something similar to this, please just go step by step by picking the settings that I've used, or you can place them. You can give them a default setting, that as I did. If you want to create several of these structure to whoever you want to create them to, or if you intend to learn how to create this. I'm just zooming out and in just to show you every part how it looks. You see, this part has not been joined, and I've showed you how to join that, but this I'll now work on it because I've showed you how to do this. Now the next presentation will be working on the water tank tower platform here. The platform here will be having the railings and the platform for our water tank tower. Thanks a lot for watching this video. I'm Maurice Dimba, and if you're new to this channel, please don't forget to subscribe, and we'll meet on the next presentation. I would like to say bye bye, and let's meet then.